Hey guys, it's Dahlia. I wanted to come on here completely unplanned and freestyle. Today I want to tell you about my experience with selling my property in the UK. So it's been quite the journey. It's still not over and I kind of want to take you with me on this journey. So I'm hoping this isn't going to end up being a really long series because I'm hoping that it's going to be sold soon. But I want to give you my experience, what's happened, the ups and downs, and all of the hindsight I have learned over the past year of trying to sell a property. So if it's going to be your first time selling your property in the UK, then I think that you'll find some of these insights really interesting. I first put my property in the market of September last year, 2024. It's currently August 2025, so it's been almost a full year. I put my property on the market at the price that was recommended to me by the estate agents at the time. And I had an offer from the very second person that went to see it. So this was without doing anything to the flat. It had tenants in it. And the very second person that went to see it put in an offer. And I was like, fantastic. So he was a first-time buyer. I really wanted to get rid of the place quickly because I want to move out of rental and into something that I actually want to live in. And in our negotiations, he actually offered 10K over my starting price, which given the market is pretty amazing. And he was really keen to move in before Christmas. So I was like, brilliant. So I let that transaction carry on. And I just kind of sat in the background, answered whatever questions I needed to answer. And I thought that was that. And I thought it was a done deal. Being a first-time seller, there were a lot of things that I didn't know to be aware of. So I wanted to buy my own property to live in. And I thought to myself, I'm going to be sensible and wait until 1 week before this transaction is done to go and start looking for properties. So I did exactly that. I'm quite a decisive person. When I bought my first property, I sort of walked in, I knew straight away that it was what I wanted, and I made an offer that day. And so this kind of happened again this time. I knew what my budget was, I knew what I wanted. I went looking for properties, and within 1 week, I'd probably seen about 10 properties, but I have very specific criteria. Within about 1 week, I found my dream flat, the place that I just absolutely loved. It was in the right area. It had been renovated, incredible standard. It was honestly such a pretty flat. And I was in love and I just went, right, I'm going to offer on this. I've got my place completing next week. I basically went in saying, listen guys, I am essentially chain free. My place is going to complete next week. We've gone all the way along in the process. My solicitors have said everything is done and we're just waiting for the day of exchange. So I put an offer in on this place. The sellers of the place that I put an offer in also wanted to move quickly. So I was like, brilliant. Finished selling my place in 3 months. I'm going to move into my next place in 3 months. This couldn't have gone any better. Boy, was I wrong. Oh my God. So here's what happened. It was 1 week before Christmas and I was expecting to be completing on the Friday, 1 week before Christmas. So we got to Thursday and I was asking my solicitors, so guys, is there anything left to do? Like, do they have any more questions? What's going on? And they said, no, we've done absolutely everything. And I went, great, we're all lined up, ready to go. Then on Thursday, I also contacted my estate agents and I said, hey, can you just give the buyer solicitors a push? Because, you know, my solicitors have said everything's been answered, so we should be ready to complete tomorrow, right? So it's Thursday night. We're supposed to complete and exchange contracts on Friday. Thursday night, my real estate agent comes back to me and says, hey, the buyer's solicitors are asking about X, Y, and Z. So basically what they did the night before exchange is they pulled up a ton of issues that they said came up in the survey that they did 3 months ago. And they had never mentioned any of these issues to me at all, whatsoever. They'd never said anything during this 3-month process, right? So the night before exchange, they said, there's this, and this wrong with the flat. And I was like, okay, well, I mean, you should have told me about these things earlier. Like, what do you want to do? Friday morning, the day that we're supposed to exchange, it honestly still upsets me when I think about it. Friday morning, the day that we're supposed to exchange, their solicitor comes back to my solicitor and says, we found XYZ issues with the flat that we estimate are going to cost this amount of money to fix. The amount of money that they said that was going to take to fix these alleged issues for a survey that they never showed us was 10% of the cost of the property, right? Tens of thousands of pounds, basically. So first time they'd ever mentioned any survey issues. They came on the day that we were supposed to complete an exchange and said, we are only going to exchange today if you give us a discount of X amount. And the X amount was £40,000 less than what they had offered. You can imagine my reaction at the time. I basically told them to F off. I was in complete shock. I didn't know what to do. But this is where my hindsight from later on is going to come in handy. So instead of going back and negotiating with them, I basically told them to do one. I kind of regret that now. Not that that sale might have gotten through, but because of what I've learned since. So I told them to bugger off. Are we allowed to say that on YouTube? I don't know. So this is 1 week before Christmas. I told them I wasn't going to go ahead with the sale, and I told the real estate agent to put it straight back onto the market. Error number one. Actually, there were two massive errors that I made then. That was not going in to renegotiate or try and talk to the seller because I was so mad. And error number two, putting the property back onto the market before Christmas. The reason I did that is because I was convinced that because I had an offer so quickly the first time around, that I'd get another offer just as quickly. Second reason I did it is because I'd just made an offer on the place that I wanted to buy. And I thought, oh my God, I need to get another offer quickly or I'm going to risk losing this place. Not just losing the place, but also losing the solicitor's deposit I'd made to start doing searches for my onward purchase, and also losing the survey money. So I'd already spent more than £1,000 on my onward purchase when this sale fell through. Spoiler alert, no one is trying to buy a property the week before Christmas. I learned this the hard way. Another valuable lesson I learned is about Rightmove listings. So Rightmove, obviously everyone knows, is the biggest property search engine in the UK. It's the website that most people go to when they're first starting their property search. So your property needs to be off the market for a minimum of 7 weeks for it to be back on Rightmove and pushed to the top of the listings. If it's less than 7 weeks that your property has been off Rightmove, when it goes back on the market, should that happen to you, then it's only going to go back on showing the same date as when you initially listed the property. This is massive because on Rightmove, there are options to search for properties released in the last 24 hours, properties released the last few days, 7 days, or 2 weeks, or the option after that is anytime. Once you fall into the anytime category, that means that people know that your property has been on the market for quite a while, and also you're not showing up to people that are just starting their property search. So, no one made an offer before Christmas, surprise, surprise, and we're now rolling into January. January comes around, February comes around, and it's right before they remove stamp duty relief for first-time buyers in the UK. January and February roll around, and the estate agents are showing it to more people and they receive more offers, but the offers that they receive are all around the level that the guy who pulled out in December wanted to pay me. It gets worse. So at the beginning, I didn't immediately tell the people who owned the property I wanted to buy that my sale had fallen through because I was so convinced that I would get another offer straight away. That was a big mistake. So I waited a month. And after a month, I thought, you know what, I need to tell them. I couldn't cope with the sort of guilt of not letting them know because they thought we were completing in March. And I also wanted to complete in March. So I emailed them and I said, hey, this has happened. I still really want to go ahead with the purchase. I want to complete in March. I'm convinced, I'm certain I'm going to get an offer straight away. They said, okay, we're going to put the property straight back on the market. So I didn't have such a flexible seller, and they did put the property straight back on the market. I ended up losing over £1,000 on that place. Meanwhile, January passes, February passes, it gets to March. I still haven't had an offer anywhere near what my original offer was. I was getting offers all around the level of the guy who tried to get a massive discount on the last day, on the day of exchange. What I now realize is that the estate agents that I had used had completely overvalued my property. So they had given me a false idea of what my property was worth, and it was on the market for much higher than what it should have been. So the first buyer actually realized this, and that's why he tried to negotiate. But I didn't realize this until these agents didn't get an offer for my property, and I then ended up enlisting a new agency. The new agency agreed to put it back on at the same price, but within a couple of weeks they said, listen, Dahlia, we actually don't think that the valuation is worth this much in the current market, especially with stamp duty relief being removed. So we recommend you lower the price. And we lowered the price by 25k. So as you can imagine, this massively affected my budget for my onward purchase. But I agreed to it because I thought that that would be a way to just get rid of it quickly. Boy, was I wrong. The other thing that was happening is that I wasn't making any money from the property. Mind you, I didn't live in this property. It was purely investment, right? So I had tenants in before I had decided to sell it, and I didn't get new tenants in because I thought it would be gone in 3 months. So I had it on Airbnb during that time, thinking it was just a temporary 3-month situation. Fast forward to January. Place is still not gone. It's on with a new agency. I have a tenant in that I've just put in, and he's peeved because there's estate agents constantly coming in and out of the place. So he leaves. So now I've been 4 months without having a tenant in. Then I start reading online about how first impressions count so much and you should have your property staged so you can sell it faster. And what does staged mean? So staged means that you set it up as if it's a show home, basically. So you have the beds made up with pretty throws and cushions, you have decorations, you have all nice furniture in, and you make it look very appealing so it gives an incredible first time impression. You also don't have people living there so that every single new prospective buyer that walks in has the best possible first impression. I was out of the UK during February, so I thought, let me stage the property so that all the people going in to see it are going to have the best possible first impression and it's going to go really quickly. And I didn't put tenants in. That was a huge mistake that ended up costing me thousands of pounds. And it's ended up doing that because I really was convinced that I'd get an offer straight away, not realizing that in 2025, the market would slow down massively. Fast forward another couple of months, I have it on with a new agency and it takes 3 months to get a new offer. And the new buyer that comes in, she offers 5k over my asking, which I thought, okay, fine, I'm going to take it. And she has a great profile. She's downsizing, so she's not a first-time buyer, so not skittish about buying old Victorian conversions, which this was because she's bought property before. Doesn't have a million questions. Really keen to move in by the end of August. So I'm like, great. I just thought that this was like a perfect profile for the buyer, and I was 100% confident that this sale was going to go through with the new agency. Oh boy. Fast forward just a couple of weeks. They'd had the survey back for about a month. So they'd done the survey and not said anything about it at all, kind of like the first buyer did. So I thought, great, everything's going through, right? Meanwhile, my heart was kind of pounding. I was like, right, what's going to happen? I hope this goes through. Foolishly, I was so convinced that this sale was going to go ahead that I went and looked for a new place to buy as well. Oh, Dahlia, why didn't you learn from the first time? I went and looked for a new place to buy, and much like the first time, can you see a pattern with me here? Much like the first time, I found my dream place, put an offer in, offer got accepted, and I spent another £1,000 on solicitor's fee and survey. 4 weeks later, my buyer pulled out again. I could hardly believe it. I just thought, that this wasn't possible again. I honestly did not think that this could happen again. In the meantime, I put a tenant into the place because I desperately needed to make back some of the money that I'd lost over all of the months of having it empty. So I put a tenant in for 3 months and I told him, hey, this is just a short let. The place is up for sale, 3 months. The buyer is going to need to move in at the end of August. So I'm going to need the place back. He was really happy with it. I was like, fine. Within a month of him moving in, the sale fell through and the property had to go back on the market. 2 massive problems. One, it hadn't been off the market long enough for it to then get bumped up to the top of the Rightmove listings. I didn't know about the time limit with Rightmove listings at the time, that it had to be a minimum of 7 weeks. It had only been off the market for 4 weeks. My property went back on, but still with the March date that it had listed with the new agency. Problem number 2, my short-term tenant was really messy. So messy. When I went back to the flat to check that it was okay for people going to view, it was a disaster scene. Boxes and belongings everywhere, crumbs all over the kitchen counter, hairs all over the bathroom floor. I mean, it just looked like a typical messy person's flat. Like, it was awful. I thought if anyone walks into this place, they are not going to want to buy it. It was just a disaster zone. I was like freaked out. So I asked him if he could keep it tidy, but the estate agents were going in, taking people in to see it, and they were calling me and saying, Dahlia, the place is really messy. It's not a good first impression. So I spoke to the tenant, asked him to clean up. But, you know, some people's idea of messy is different than other people's idea of messy. So not great. And that is where I'm at now when I'm recording this video. By the time I publish this video, maybe my situation will be different. But my tenant is moving out in a couple of weeks. Estate agents have had no luck in selling it again. My plan at the moment is to put it on with the new agency come September. So by the time you watch this video, it might already be on with the new agency, and I'm hoping that it's been sold. But as you've learned from watching this whole video from start to end, being sold in the UK doesn't necessarily mean that it's sold. Thanks for tuning in. I plan to release weekly roundups of my best personal finance, investment, property and small business tips. So if you found this video helpful at all to your property purchase journey or to your property sales journey, please give it a like and subscribe, and I promise to keep creating more content like this. Thanks. Bye.